Sumo dates back to the dawn of Japanese history. Evolving from mythic origins, sumo has become Japan's national sport and a very popular form of entertainment. At the peak of the sumo world stands professional ozumo or grand sumo, which has inherited the ancient traditions and beauty of Japan.
If what baseball is to America, sumo wrestling is to Japan, a martial arts sport steeped in mythology, folklore, pride of nation, and honor. Japan is normally known to be a nation that is guided by honor, disciplined principles that span higher than the individual, but for the greater good of the country or the collective. But as the awaken come to understand about professional sports, honor and pride in fair and honest competition is not at the top of the priorities list. In Japan, figurines of sumo wrestlers have been unearthed dating back to the Kufun period between the 3rd and 7th centuries. And the sport is mentioned in the myths and legends of Kojoki and Nishinoki Japanese history books. When it was time to plant rice, sumo bouts were performed as a way to pray for bountiful crop or to predict whether that year's harvest would be good. In the Nara period and the Heian period, sumo became an event conducted at the imperial court, and bouts were performed in front of the emperor. Entertainment and relationships rule the realm. In the New York Times bestseller Freakonomics, written by Stephen D. Levitt and Stephen J. Dubner, they break down with economic data points on how and possibly why the ancient sport of sumo is fixed. Just like any other professional sport in the world, being a top athlete typically opens up the regular opportunities of fame and fortune. The incentive scheme that rules sumo is intricate and extraordinarily powerful. Each wrestler maintains a ranking that affects every part of their life. How much money one can make, how large of an entourage he can carry, how much he eats, other special accesses. The top 2 divisions in Japanese sumo wrestling have 33 wrestlers each and are considered the most elite. The topmost wrestlers can earn millions of dollars and be treated like royalty. Any wrestler in the top 40 earns at least $170,000 per year. The 70th ranked wrestler only earns $15,000. So you can see the disparity of being a top athlete or not. Ranking is everything, because lower ranked wrestlers must tend to their superiors, prepare their meals, clean their quarters, and even clean their hard to reach parts during baths.
Yaocho を経済システムと仮定して言いますけど、大きなお金はそのピラミッドのトップの横綱に集まるんですね。 何千万円というお金が仮に集まったとして、でそれを下にこうあまねくこう潤していく、相撲界全体に潤していくんです。そのためのツールとして八百長がある。
結局力士全体が真面目に取ればすごいこうなんていうかこう神がかりのスポーツだと思いますけどね。今でもやっぱり真剣勝負見ればやっぱり感動しますしね、八百長見ればやっぱがっかりするし、そんな感じかな。僕らはもう全部わかりますから、相撲見てて真面目に取ってるか取ってないかぐらい。
The only way to combat corruption, says Stephen Levitt, is to change rules to undo corrupt incentives, unleash more investigative reporters, and develop strong protections for whistleblowers. But that's easier said than done when cultural slogans in America and Japan reassure us that we're honest, straightforward, and fundamentally good. Those who expose corruption are challenging the very nature of who we imagine ourselves to be.
The irony of our analysis of sumo wrestling was when it became public, the sumo wrestlers stopped cheating. And now, not for good. They actually stopped cheating for a year or two, and then once people stopped thinking about it, they went back to it. But that, I think, is the answer to how you stop cheating. That Louis Brandeis said that sunlight was the best disinfectant.
What keeps us from seeing corruption are our illusions that our economy is a rational system, a free market open to all. The fact is that rigging markets and matches is good business if the rigging is hidden from all but a few. In Shinto, the mirror is an important symbol, reflecting a sense of who we are. In that mirror, the bad heart is a hidden heart. The pure heart is one that hides nothing. Looking at the numbers and accepting what they tell us is a way of wiping dust away from the mirror.
Sometimes cash bribes could be involved. The collective record of various sumo stables are similarly suspect. When one stable's wrestlers fare well on the bubble against wrestlers from a second stable, they tend to do especially poorly when the second stable's wrestlers are on the bubble. This indicates that some match rigging may be choreographed at the highest level of sport. A sumo bout is a concentrated flurry of force, speed, and leverage, often lasting only a few seconds. It wouldn't be too hard to allow yourself to be tossed with no one realizing it was staged. No formal disciplinary action has ever been taken against a Japanese sumo wrestler for match rigging. Officials from the Japanese Sumo Association usually dismisses such charges. So what normally happens after a media frenzy of match rigging? The tournaments held immediately after allegations of match rigging, the 7-7 wrestlers win only 50% of the time of their final day matches against 8-6 opponents instead of their typical 80%. The data shows it's hard to argue that sumo wrestling isn't rigged. Two former sumo wrestlers came forward with extensive allegations of match rigging. Aside from the crooked matches, they said sumo was rife with drug use, sexcapades, bribes, tax evasion, and close ties to the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia. With the fear of losing their life, they still blew the whistle. Before holding a press conference, the two sumo wrestlers died in the same hospital with similar respiratory ailments. The police declared no foul play and did not conduct an investigation. The wrestlers actually named names, and in the 281 wrestlers studied by Levitt and Dubner, they identified 29 crooked wrestlers and 11 who were said to be incorruptible. In matches between two supposedly corrupt wrestlers, the wrestler who was on the bubble won about 80% of the time. In bubble matches against a supposedly clean opponent, the bubble wrestler was no more likely to win than his record would predict. Furthermore, when a supposedly corrupt wrestler faces an opponent who the whistleblowers did not name either corrupt or clean, the results were nearly as skewed as when two corrupt wrestlers met, suggesting that most wrestlers who weren't specifically named were also corrupt. The two whistleblowing wrestlers were Konoshin Suga, also known as Naruto Stablemaster, and his supporter Shishiro Hashimoto, tragically passed on April 14th, 1996. Join my Patreon today for only $5 to receive a monthly esoteric documentary on your favorite sports athletes and events. Real, Raw, uncut, and uncensored without the limitations of YouTube. Join today to see the other side of the sports world.